Hi, welcome to the last class in the second week of the Watcher course. Let's get to it. This is the class where we're going to talk about parental controls. So what's on the agenda? The purpose and power of parental controls, device-specific built-in controls, controlling app downloads and in-app purchases, implementing basic filters, and what parental controls don't do. So, the purpose of and power of parental controls. Parental controls are a way to set healthy boundaries and empower the parents to guide their children's digital use. And you have to tell your kids you are installing them, and you have to explain to them that it's for their own good, okay? And a common mistake is that parents do it and don't tell them, or just impose it. And there is a trick to not imposing it, right? Because if you impose it, they will feel a break of trust. Some of them will rebel against it. So, right? So you have to tell them, this is for your own good, because you're young and you're naive, and I am here to protect you. And this is a way that I can protect you. There are many risks online that you don't understand yet. And so we need to use this. If they refuse, right, and just don't accept it, this is a clear indicator that your child is not mature enough to use a digital device. Okay? So if this happens, then you just don't let them use the device at all. And you explain to them, it seems you're not ready for this, because this is a condition that is non-negotiable. I'm here to protect you, okay? And I'm speaking from experience, okay? And from things that I've seen. So you tell them, you explain why, and then you install it. And parental controls are our first line of defense, okay? They are the very first layer, the foundational layer. And they will protect against exposure to inappropriate content and unauthorized actions, right? And even to talking to people you don't know, to talking to strangers online, okay? Also, parental controls have the option to implement different types of restrictions according to the child's age. So you can make them more restricted to younger kids and less restrictive to older kids, to teens, right? And this is important because you're trying to develop your child's responsibility, right? So you have to explain to them that as they grow older and understand how to use the device responsibly and better, parental controls will be less restrictive. They will gain more autonomy and they will be able to perform more stuff on their device, right, as time passes. This is another important point. The kid has to understand that what's their device is only their device because you are authorizing it, because you are responsible for their safety, right? And if at any moment you understand that that device is putting their safety at risk, they will lose access to the device. This is a non-negotiable condition, right? They have to understand this. And again, if they don't understand and don't accept, they are just not ready for it. So this is what I'm telling you. Is the beginning of promoting responsible habits, right? And every time you set something, right? You restrict a permission or you block something, You explain to them why you're doing this. Okay, it's very important to have this open communication so they learn what to look out for as well. So, device-specific built-in controls, right? So these are the parental control that we have mainly in Android and iOS devices, right? We'll look at some other devices as well, but Apple has screen time, and later they came with family sharing, right? So these are their built-in parental control features. We are going to give you in the resources for this lesson a link to the official Apple tutorial on the configurations for their screen time and family sharing apps. And why are we not putting it here in the presentation? Because they evolve, they change with time, and we don't want to have to be recording this every 3, 4, 6 months because one specific functionality was moved around or a small new functionality was released or something like that, right? So instead of needing to do that, it's better to refer you. We are going to refer you to 2 things, right? The official, in this case, in the case of iOS, we are referring you to the official Apple documentation on their screen time and family sharing. There is a link in the resources for this lesson in our community. And also, what we are doing is, since we are not going to be reinventing the wheel, we are providing you with a link to the most complete tutorial in video that we can find on YouTube, right? So as of the recording of this lesson, we are in August of 2025. We have videos from this year, from 2025, with the latest version of the apps so that you can watch and configure step by step in detail. And for Android, similar thing. They have the family link. They call it Google Family Link, right? And we are providing you with the Google's official family link tutorials to install it on your device and other child's device, right? And also with a link to the specific video, the most complete tutorial we could find on YouTube, up to date, 2025 as of the recording of this. All these resources are available exclusively in our community. Our community is free. If you are watching this on YouTube, there are links to our community on the channel description, on the video description, and on the first comment of this video. So just click there, join our community, and you get access to all these resources. Password. Very important that you set a strong password on the child's device, or they will break it, right? I've seen it happen many times. It happened with my wife, my ex-wife now. It happened with her, with our first kid, who is now 20. She broke the password because it was too easy. And as we've seen before, 9 characters minimum, right? So if you have a 9 characters password, even if it's all lowercase, your child will most likely be unable to break the password, okay? If you make it a weak password, they will break it because they know you and they probably watch you typing it, and they will change the configurations on their device. We don't want that, right? And if that happens, which is important to notice, it's a break of trust on their behalf, right? So if that happens, my advice to you is remove the device from them because they can't be trusted, okay? And then they will have to earn your trust back to have the device again. So I've had friends do this, and they switch their kids' smartphone for a flip phone. Very simple, call-only device, no screens, no access to the internet. And it took the child over 6 months to gain their parents' trust back and be able to get their smartphones back. So, Android has Family Link, Apple has family sharing, which is part of their screen time, right? When you're configuring these apps, every member of the family group needs a user account. So you will have to create a user account for your kids in order to install it on their phones or on their tablets or on their computers, and then add them to your family group as someone that you can control. And this is important to notice that different systems don't interact well with parental controls. So if your kids are using iOS, you should use an iOS to control their devices. And if they are using Android, you should use an Android to control their devices. So what sort of configurations should you be implementing on parental controls? First, app downloads and in-app purchases. And my recommendation here is that you always restrict them to forbidden in the beginning, right? So no download without your permission, right? And then no in-app purchases without your permission, right? As they grow and they mature and they understand what these things are and how they happen, then you can allow them to use it, right? And you will just be notified when they're using. So in the case of the downloads, you just receive a notification. Your child has downloaded this app. And in the case of purchases, and this is only recommended once your child has their own credit card or wallet, electronic wallet, right? And has already a notion of how to deal with their own money. Then you can configure it so that it requires their authentication to do a purchase or a download, right? So this is an evolution. So you always want to start with everything restricted, and then as they mature and they show they understand the importance of being careful with these things, then you can take the next step and lower the restriction a little bit. Content and screen time filters, right? For Google, for Android, you have to restrict downloads for apps and games and movie rentals and all that on Google Play, right? It's not just on Family Link. You have to go to Google Play and configure this. And this is all in the tutorials, right? And for iOS, then you can configure everything in the same app. It's more user-friendly and simpler to configure, okay? And you can restrict content based on ratings and even TV shows, music, and web content. PlayStation, right, a gaming console, also provides restriction levels and customizable settings for parental controls, right? So in the PlayStation, you can create your account as the parent, then you create the child's account, and you include that child under your control, and then you restrict what you want the child to be able to see and what type of contents and even spending limits, okay? Disney Plus, same thing. It allows you to set restrictions. Again, you have to set the child as your controlled account, and then you can set content ratings and for each individual child. Roblox, this is a game, it's a very popular one and a very dangerous one. Many cases of online predators acting inside this game. They have parental controls which can restrict both the content. There is a lot of content that is inappropriate there. It's very violent, gore, and sexual, explicit. And also restrict the chat features, right? Which is how usually the predators try to contact your child. So if they ever want to play Roblox, make sure you configure this in the higher restrictive settings possible. Microsoft also allows for activity monitoring, restrictions on content, and website blocking. Okay. Prime Video also for purchasing and for content restrictions. And another thing that you should do is configure the basic web filtering in the browser for their devices, right? So these are the browsers that accept this. They have the safe search feature, which you can see here in the image. So Google Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, Safari, Brave, and the DuckDuckGo, all of them have the safe search feature. This is extremely important. You don't want your kids searching the internet freely, okay? And you can also limit access to adult websites on the device, right? On the family link, on the family sharing, right? So you can do both things. You should do both things, right? Enable safe search and restrict adult content. Screen time. This here is a research that the CDC in the USA did between the end of 2021 and the middle of 2021 and the end of 2023, right? And this is at least alarming, right? So you can see that children between the ages of 12 and 17 were spending over half the children in this age group were spending more than 4 hours a day on screens, right? So setting screen time limits is a must. Many parents think that their kids should never be bored. This is a huge mistake. Boredom is part of what stimulates creativity in kids, right? They need boredom. Boredom is good, right? They don't need to be always doing something around the screen. So set daily time limits. You can even set app time limits, right? So that you know they won't be for too much time on a specific app. This is highly recommended, okay? It changes according to the age group. But as I said previously in other lessons, 4 hours should be the limit a day, even for us adults, right? Of course, if you work online on the computer, it's a different situation. But if you don't work on a screen, 4 hours a day is a lot. Okay, it's basically a third, between a fourth and a third of your day, of your waking hours, right? You should be doing more than that instead of spending that on YouTube, on Netflix, on social networks, right? On Instagram. I mean, it's just a waste of time if you're not working. So set the time limits, explain why you're setting the time limits, and there should be no much trouble after they have been told why you're setting the time limits, right? Because they have homework, they have other activities they should be doing, and boredom is good. Remember, boredom is good. Also, implementing no device times or specific periods is highly recommended, right? So, for instance, after they come home from school, the first 2 hours is homework time, is other activities time, is decompression time, whatever, no screen time, right? Family meals together, no screen time. Even some family time together, right? Go read a book together, play a board game, right? Go for a walk the dogs, walk around the block, go for a chat, talk, discuss, create bonding, right? So highly recommended to have no screen specific periods at home. And what parental controls don't do, Okay, this is very important. So they don't access private conversations. So if your child is using Snapchat, WhatsApp, Messenger, or Discord, you will not have access to the content of these of the conversations they are having with other people in these apps. Some of them have their own specific parental controls, right? And depending on the type of device, they can be more restrictive or not. Like for instance, Snapchat will let you read your child's direct messages on Android, but not on iOS. Okay? WhatsApp, you won't read it at all in either of them. All you can do is restrict who your child can connect to and what groups she can be invited to and can receive invites from. Discord, same thing. It won't let you. It will let you see who she's connected to, which groups she's participating in, but will not let you know the content of the conversations. Right? So these apps are usually not recommended for kids under 12 or 13, right? And what I like to do, there are two ways you can go about this, right? One of them is there are paid apps that you can install and that will grant you access to some of this content, right? Or what I do is, and what I recommend is, I tell them, I will let you install this app, but I have access whenever I want. I just ask you for your phone, you hand it to me, unblocked, and I'll open it and I'll read it. Oh, but what about my privacy? You don't have the right to have your privacy until you're out of my house and you're out of my responsibility. Or until at least I know you are responsible enough not to fall for the traps that are out there. And this only happens when they are 16 or later, right? Depends on each child's maturity level, sometimes later. So yes, it's a condition. You want to install this, I get to access it. You don't want me to access it, you will not install it. Simple as that. Non-negotiable. Again, I know I know why, and the reason is to protect you. And I don't care if your friends' parents let them. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they don't even know the risks that that their kids are being exposed to. But you are my child, and it's my duty and my responsibility to look after you. And that's why I'm telling you this. And that's why this is the condition. And usually, they will let you. Okay? My girls let me. My oldest one didn't like it so much, but she let me. The youngest one had no problem with this whatsoever. So this is my recommendation to you regarding these more problematic apps. Roblox is another app that even though it has its own parent controls, and these apps have too, is one that I highly recommend that you supervise and that you inspect what's going on there, because it's a very dangerous environment. And any other app that has cryptography, right? So messages are encrypted, which means they are decoded and they cannot be broken into. So when your child is using one of these apps to communicate with another person, WhatsApp is one of them, you will not have access unless you have access to their account on WhatsApp. Okay, so standard parental controls will not have access to any of this. Also, deleted content, right? So if your child deletes a message, deletes a photo or an app, you can't recover the data with standard parental controls unless you have specific apps installed on their phones. For that, you will not be able to see what they deleted. As I was saying, you don't know exactly what in-app behaviors your child has, right? This is a little better nowadays than it was even a couple of years ago. So you can track their history, who their community. You will not be able to see the content, right? With for instance, Discord, right? Discord will not let you know and read what messages were exchanged, but it will tell you who your child was talking to, in which groups, and that sort of information. Okay? Unmonitored device. So if your child uses someone else's device or a school computer, you will not have any control over that, right? Unless you install Family Link on those devices and you force your child to use her account on those devices, which is very hard to do if she's in someone else's home or if she's at school, right? Usually schools have a lot of safeguards and network level blocks, and they won't allow these types of apps. And so school environment is not as risky as a friend's house, right? Where they can have access to an older sibling's device or a notebook or a computer, right? So those are potential risks when your child goes to places where she will have access to other people's devices. And that's it for our last lesson in this week. So now we know the power of parental controls. We understand how to navigate device-specific controls. We know that we can control downloads, purchases, content, and screen time. And you should control all of these. And the detailed configuration instructions, the official manuals are all available in the resources for this lesson in our community, as well as the full video tutorials from other content creators on YouTube. And of course, we will update these links as they change in time, or as time passes and new tutorials are released by other content creators. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed this week, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.